Good afternoon, all. CamelbackTrading.org coming to you this Wednesday afternoon, August 12th, and we're looking at the market profile of the SPY ETF here on Window Trader. Now, first things first, we had a bad tick in SPY. The low in SPY today is 335.43. They decided to tick 100 shares down to 332 and change. So that screwed up half back, as you can see, and everything else on the day. I fixed it on the charts, but it's a shame because when people don't see that, if they're in front of their screen, they're going to look and see a very, very different low on the day. And why is that important? Well, it's important because we had an open and drive today. And you're going to see that on the daily, on the chart. Look at this. There's your opening, folks. Open and drove straight up. All we did yesterday, like we said, is flush out weak longs and shorts. They took longs and shorts to the woodshed after yesterday. That's all they did. Remember, we couldn't lower the park yesterday. That was such a little nuance that turned out to be so powerful. We have a trend day up. Believe it or not, we held single print, so we do have a trend day. Is it the greatest of trend days? No, because it looks like a P shape for short covering. Did they absolutely smack buyers in the face again in M period? They sure did. It looked like all aboard. LM was going to go and get the high. I mean, we weren't that high from it. We were less than $1 from the regular trading hour high and a little over $1 from the overnight. Looked like M period was gearing up to do it with the indices very strong, and they said, nope, not yet. So again, they are teasing the heck out of these bulls as they approach the all-time high. Had a good day today. Put myself in trouble, and I'll go over that in a minute. Turned out to be a good trade. It would have been a really good trade if I had A, started it when I should have, not when I did, and then B, if I had even held on to some of it, even though I started at a very poor level. So let's get to it. So in A period, we opened up and drove straight up. Did not get on board along. We ended with overlapping a higher value, but value for early in the day, A, B, C, D, E, was unchanged. So we drove up, and the first thing I looked at was my overnight high, which was different than the ES overnight high. I got to it, took a short. I thought K and L, that's where it was around there, was a visual area. Took a short, and that worked out. So that was one short I took. Then I did nothing in B. Now C started. We had a trend day. I got long calls. I got long calls 3 times. I scalped 336 calls in this time frame. I did 3 lots of 15 and made between 8 cents and 12 cents probably on all 3 of them. That adds up. That worked very nicely. D period started. We held single prints. We held the one time framing up. I did that 2 more times. So I had a very good A, C, and D. Now here's where I got in trouble. And this is a good lesson to learn. Innovators have the best reward and the greatest risk. So now I had a very good morning. E period comes down. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, we took out yesterday's high, but it looks like it's forming a P shape. I'm looking for an afternoon pullback low. I was hoping it came later in the day, which it did, by the way, although it's still a trend day, so I can't call it that. But here's where I screwed up. I thought maybe E, F would go higher. They did, but at the time when E came down here, I'm like, well, maybe they're not going to wait for F and G to roll over. And what did I do? I played Innovator, and the reason it's an Innovator play is because we're still one time framing up. So it's the greatest risk reward. If I waited till we took out D's low, you're going to get in later. So your reward's better if you do it if it comes down, but your risk is a lot greater. And boy, was my risk great. So I started with 30, I think. I think it was 30. Didn't take it out. I'm like, well, I'm in trouble. Added another 30. Added more. Let's put it this way. Between E, F, G, at one point now, I got very fortunate. I added 300 at the high of the day, which worked out. And then I was going to add an additional 200, which I really should have. But I'm not going to lie, the fact that single prints were holding had me nervous. If there were no single prints, If it was just one time framing up, but we weren't getting distance away from the prior time frame high, I wouldn't be as nervous. But the fact that yesterday, look what they did all day yesterday, and then they did puke it up. But there were no single prints. So you needed something to lean on yesterday. Well, we had something to lean on, and that's why I was a little nervous. I was short close to 500 contracts at one point at the high. If this popped any higher, I was going to be in a lot of trouble. So when they started coming in, I took them off. I got back, and I was down a lot. I got back everything I lost and made some on the trade, but I'd given back still a bunch of what I was made up here. So I was still green on the day, but gave back. Now, if I had really held on, because I took most of them off at F, because I didn't know if the one-time framing down up was going to stop, and I was back to green, I was like, that's good. And then what happened? What I thought would happen in E happened in G and H. So I missed getting a lot more on my short, but what I did do is take a long. Took a nice long looking for the afternoon pullback, and it went back, and I actually got out of it way too soon. I was out of it by POC, and we ripped to new highs. So the innovator play, if I did not take that trade, I would never have shorted it on the way up like this. I can guarantee you, though, once G couldn't take out F's high, I'm sorry, G did take out F's high. I apologize. Once G took out F's high and then came back in and got back into D, then I would have probably taken a put play. Nothing of that size, but it would have been a put play and it would have been a good trade. So not only was I in pain because I started so early, it kept me out of the better trade. And I know I'm beating this to death, but there's a lot of people out here that I hope are trying to learn the profile from me, and I think it's very important. The profile didn't fail me. I failed myself because I played innovator. The profile worked beautifully. Once we got up to F's high, took it out, came in, and got back into D's range, the odds of at least going back to POC were very good. That would have been the trade. And then this was a beautiful long off of that, which I took. And then I didn't do anything until M. So now I'm like, okay, what are we looking for? And I was actually looking, I really thought we were going to pop the top. And when M opened and just ripped lower, I got 200 calls. I was debating whether buying the same ones that expired today or going to Fridays. I ended up going with today's, the 337 calls. Everything I traded was today. And I went with the 337 calls. I bought 200 of them, basically off the low of at the time. Paid $1.78 for them and sold them all out between $1.85 and $2. So that turned out to be a beautiful trade. Got out of them, and then M basically flushed to end the day. Just quickly, because I didn't give you the other ones, the short was a 338 put in A, and then the longs in C and D were 336 calls. The short was the 338 put. That was the good thing. I took a 338 at least in E period, which gave me a lot of breathing room. And then H with a 336 calls. All right, let's go over destinations. Upside, 338.28, today's high. Then above that, we have the ones that I've given you. One more time, 338.64, daily high, poor high. 338.69, 9 wide from February 19th. 339.08, monthly high, all-time high. And 339.38, overnight, all-time high from February 19th. Downside, we have the single prints. H is low, 336.55 to 47. A's high. Then we have today's low of 335.43. And yesterday's low of 332.01. Charts. Monthly, one time framing up 4 months. We're getting good distance away from last month's high. All aboard for the all-time high. Weekly, again, we're above last week's high. One time framing up 6 weeks. I'm going to say we better get the all-time high by Friday. If we fail in the next 2 days to get this, I'm going to be not only disappointed, but maybe the Bulls aren't going to get it. I can't imagine we don't. I would think the odds are very good for it. And then in the daily, still balanced. Remember, we had an outside day down yesterday. That's bearish. We opened with a opening drive and went straight up. How do you know it's an opening drive? Look at the low of the day. Boom, straight up. Again, nothing is standing in the way from the all-time high. And then quickly we'll look at the triple Qs. Don't count them out yet. Look at this weekly candle so far. I know there's 2 days left to go in the week, but right now it's firmly in a 2-week balance. Still not looking for a short play yet. And then in the Russell backed off a little bit today. Still has kind of an ugly candle, but there's 2 days to go in the week. We'll see if they get their groove back on tomorrow. It's a 3-day balance. Now, this is important. It's an inside day for Russell. So you would like to see them come out of it to the upside and then continue their upward move. If you come out of it to the downside, well, then there's a good chance you're going to go down maybe and test the low 150s, 153 level. Remains to be seen. We had a very good day in CamelbackTrading.org's trading room. We called this market really, really well today. Come check us out. I had 4 more people join today. We're over 150 strong. Great bunch of traders, experienced, new, profile, different type of methods. It all meshes together really, really well. Have a great night, and we'll speak prior to the opening tomorrow.